Dzień dobry Państwo. And here I stop with my Polish experiments. So, I don't want to sound paranoid, but we have heard a lot of good lectures today, and there are two things that are common. First, as somebody said, I don't cite name because I saw it on Facebook, and it could be attributed to Paulo Coelho, Pablo Escobar, I don't know. Somebody said, okay, with the civilization, it's over. We have to restart again from zero. And if you remember the first presentation this morning, we could see how artificial intelligence develops fast. But can we say the same for the intelligence of humanity and of children? Is it not going to the opposite direction? There is something like that. Anyway, if I tried just to describe, there will be no more text like that. It's just the first slide. If we try to look into what we call fake news, though there is no such one common definition of fake news, there are different things. For profit, it makes a big business. And if you allow me to make reference to the blue whale, urban legend, fake news, or whatever you call it, the administrator of the Russian social network Vkontakte were the first groups citing the hashtags connected to this famous online game that does not exist. He said that they have detected tens of thousands of bots who were flooding the internet with these hashtags. And as the director of a Russian regional Center for Information Technologies said, he could identify 3 groups of people who made all this fuss and hype become worldwide known. Right now, the blue whale is sailing in India and Turkey after passing through whole Europe, North America and South America. So, Mr. Sergei Grebennikov said, first, it is the teenagers themselves who are very much attracted to 2 topics, sex and death. In this period of life, people are very much interested in the notion of life and, of course, the notion of death. So they become curious and they start searching for something that does not exist. Second group, of course, for profit. In Bulgaria, it came at the end of February, and we detected clusters of clickbait websites, not existing media. And we detected, for example, 24 websites which are located at the same IP address in one small apartment in the outskirts of Sofia. Does it make them media? No, but they were the ones who profited for that, because they make money out of your clicks and out of the clicks of the children. So, manipulation. I don't think I have to explain that. Manipulation existed even before the writing. People manipulate each other. Radical propaganda, and we already have had a talk about how misinformed people start believing in stupid things and making harm to themselves and to their children, for example. Anti-vax, everybody knows. Everybody knows that the World Trade Center in New York was blown by CIA. Everybody knows that no human ever landed on the moon because it was shot in Hollywood, in a studio. I don't know, is it now such a trend in Poland? We have a huge, I don't know, hundreds of young parents who believe that to make their children healthier, they have to deprive them at least for 7 days of food and, be careful, water. Every doctor would say that 3 days without water is harmful for an adult. What to say about a child? That is how misinformation, manipulation work. And of course, you have also this kind of dissemination of information with some aim, to make people act. And one good example for them is the radicalization and recruiting of young people, like by terrorist or extremist groups. We have the sexual solicitation of children, which is also going using the methods of manipulation, what we call social engineering sometimes, or fake information, violence, and so on. So it's not an easy task. And it could be very late if we want to work with the children starting from middle school. Because we just had a national representative study at the end of 2016 on a methodology that has been used 6 years ago. 6 years ago, the EU Kids Online project, Poland participated also, made representative studies in 27 countries just to have a picture of the use of internet and technologies by young people aged 9 to 17. We used almost the same methodology, and what we can see, the trends, and I believe that in Poland you can see the same trends. Children start to use internet for the first time at a very earlier age. If you see the peaks, 6 years ago, the peak of first entrance to internet was at 10 years, and now it is 7. 3 years moving down by age. And if we count this, by the year of 7, 50% of the children are already in the internet. And some of them don't even go to school yet. How do we deal with this? Because parents feel uncomfortable to speak with their children about internet. What they can say is, don't spare such time on internet, or it is very dangerous, there are pedophiles, and they don't use the word at that age, but they just scare them. And they don't feel capable to support and to help them realize what internet is. And internet is what is the information environment for the new generations. The digital natives don't read newspapers, don't listen to news radio stations, don't look at TV sets, very rarely, unfortunately, take some book to read, only when from school they are obliged to do. It is their information environment where they do everything. They learn new things, they watch, they are also producing content and so on. Our concept of our center, you don't have the possibility to work with small children, explaining them difficult concepts like digital and media literacy. And if you remember, because literacy was mentioned several times by several presenters, once it was called media literacy, once digital literacy or information literacy. Believe me, we are talking about one and the same thing. There is no media literacy outside of the digital world for the digital natives. So we talk about digital and media literacy all together. And this is the information environment. The kids are growing up, they learn, and they have to live in this environment and to make use of this. What can we do with children as small as 4, 5, 6 years old? Explaining concept doesn't work. So children like to play. but play without devices in their hands. If we want to teach them to analyze the information coming from the environment around them, if we want them to think critically about different things, we can use normal physical games, but based on some content that the primary or elementary school has any way to teach them. Why is this so important? You can see the same study showed that you can see that almost 50%, over 50% of the children 9 to 17 frankly said they are not able to make the difference between true and false information online. And the real problem is that 40% of their parents cannot. And this is self-declaration. I can believe that probably it is 20–30% more. So it is quite complicated, but it is a cross table of two referential frameworks. One is the framework of digital competence of the European Commission, and there is a media framework, media literacy framework, which was designed by the so-called European Association of Viewers' Interest. And if we compare them, we can see that almost everything is the same. I will not go into details to explain what is this and what is that, but the main is that we have to work on the specific competencies starting from the very base. And the very base, it's the critical thinking. Also, emotional intelligence, tolerance, teamwork, and so on. These are competencies that will help the children when they are in internet to be able to assess the situation, to assess the information. And you know that at this early age, the information they consume is mostly visual information. So the visual information can also be misleading. If we go back to the blue whale tale, so many, even mainstream media, published stories about this as a truth, as a fact, and they didn't even go and check Google Images and to find why there are only 3 or 4 images of hands cut in the form of a whale, if the media were disseminating the news that hundreds of children killed themselves or cut their arms. Where are the pictures? How many videos are there? Several videos, and one can see that some of them are really amateurishly mixed, not real. Anyway, so the methodology we came to, it was 3 years ago. It was our first attempt to do something that can be used in primary schools. It was mainly, at that time, we were concentrating on hate speech, just to try, can we work with small children and teach them something that could help them differentiate between hate speech, online hate speech in the physical environment, because hate speech has become a common phenomenon. I don't know in Poland, but the hate and the trolling in internet has trespassed the borders of the digital world, and it entered the real life. And today's children, their socialization and their communication has become very rude. I don't know how children in Poland communicate with their teachers, but in Bulgaria it changed drastically. They don't speak politely to the teachers, they don't say vi, they say ti. Just using indecent language has become also commonplace. So, The goals were clear, but how to do this? Because today's children, everybody says, the educational systems are very outdated, very old, and what the educational ministries are doing all around the world, they are trying to put more and more content, thinking that this will help to have the children become more intelligent. It's just the opposite. Because the content and making them remember facts, names, something that they know that it is one click distance in Google, they can find it at the same time without working with them on developing social skills, on developing communication skills, on developing critical thinking, means that we are going the opposite direction. But schools and education ministries will say, there are no free classes for that. We cannot introduce new subjects because children are already overloaded, and that's true. So we invited a group of 12 teachers, volunteers from elementary schools, and asked them to identify themes, topics for the 1st to 4th grade students that they are obliged, that are in the curriculum, but to develop them in a way as interactive lessons with different activities and try to put a focus on developing such sensitivity toward use of online hate speech and, of course, hate speech as a whole. So it took us a long time, more than 1.5 years, because it was not an easy task. At the end, we came out with 10 lesson plans, which are not lessons, not lecturing, but based on different interactive methods, group work, discussions, plays, games, and so on. We were able to print out 10,000 notebooks for children and guidebooks for teachers, and they went out for just in a period of 3 months. Teachers who tried to do this in class, they were very, very happy, and they said it works really. And we believe if they still want from us. So the structure of a lesson, of such a guidebook is very, very simple. You have to start from classroom rules, to develop teamwork, feeling, emotional recognition, I-message, assertive behavior. I think these are things that everybody knows from psychology. This is just some example of, for example, one activity that has to be done with the children. Shall I read this? Maybe not. It's just a small, realistic situation between children, and they have to resolve them. Of course, it is all full of different pictures that the teachers can use. And our new methodology that we just developed is teaching especially focus on digital and media literacy competencies. We used the same method. We invited teachers, we invited students from the pedagogy faculty of Sofia University and some experts, and developed a guidebook for teachers following the same formula. And all this exercise was so successful that the faculty of preschool and primary school education included this from this year as a special course for the students in the faculty. And it will go further. This is the main problem. First, we have to convince the education ministry that children don't need at least 50–60% of the information we try to give them. What they need space, they need activities, they need new methods of working that will develop their critical thinking, will develop their active relation with the environment. That means to understand what is around them, what you can do with this. And then when they have the device in hand, to use the same things that they have learned through such activities when they are in the online world. Each lesson is developed like this. Which class, what is the subject that it can be done, how it corresponds with the educational standards of the Ministry of Education. It is developed by minutes. I'm sorry, I don't have it in English and in Polish, with many, many things around. And last one, we have been working directly with children with a so-called Cyber Scouts program. We work with 5th graders for 2 days, 2-day trainings, and we teach them starting from risks and possibilities online. We also include main competence in digital media literacy, but also we teach them how to work with their peers. And so we support them to do different activities for their peers. So it's the most successful program we have till now. It is going for a 3rd year, and we will soon have more than 600 Cyber Scouts in the country that continue doing different things. We maintain constant contact with them through closed groups in Facebook. We don't, of course, push the children to make Facebook profiles. It is just on voluntary basis, and they are in groups anyway, not one child doing something with the peers. And we make competitions between them. They receive scores, and there are awards. It is typical. So that's it. Thank you, and if you have some questions, I'm ready.